Okay.
So what's up, Flip Factor family? This is Michael Green with the Flip Factor Podcast, the #1 podcast dedicated to teaching you how to find and win high profit flips and manage your contractors so you can make more money. Everybody likes more money, me included, but also so you can have the freedom to do whatever the F you want and travel, do fun stuff, and all the cool things that this great business offers for us. Today, I'm going to share with you my 3 steps to transforming into a leader that Rockstar Contractors want to work with. I've also got leadership expert that's flown all the way from Brooklyn Park, Maryland to our podcast studios to be here live, Delante Desouza. Welcome. What's up? You got some big high-level stuff that he's going to share today because we are talking about being a leader. Now, I joke around a lot, but honestly, this is a huge subject, right? Like being the type of leader that people want to work for.
Leadership is like a key component to just success in life, right? I mean, even outside of house flipping, this kind of stuff is going to transform your relationships with people, your finances, your happiness. Like, leadership is important, man. Like, super important.
And you get more girls too, right?
Yeah, if that's what you want.
Hey, if you're single.
Hey, if you're single.
If you're single. The ladies like leaders.
I don't think I need to go into it if you're like, well, yeah, because like if you're married, you could be a better leader as a husband or a better wife, you know?
Yeah.
You can also be a better leader.
Maybe your kids will clean up the room when you ask them to.
There you go.
Probably not. Okay, that's a stretch. We're not teaching anything that powerful. That's almost pretty fake. I don't know if I'd believe in that, but you have a shot if you have good leadership skills, and maybe you'll just know how to handle it when they don't do it. So it's a really interesting subject. So leadership's probably one of the biggest things. I think someone interviewed me a few years ago, and they're like, Mike, you've had a lot of success. You've done a lot of flips. Like, what's next for you? And I realized that, at that point, I'd felt like I'd reached a really high level of house flipping. I realized that I had to work really hard to have it, right? Like I had to put a lot of hours in every week, 60, 70, 80 hours. I mean, pretty much worked every waking hour that I wasn't doing like eating or doing something that I wanted to do. So I didn't have like downtime where I just laid on the couch and look at the ceiling. I would work. And the reason I had to work so hard is because my leadership was definitely like a C-. It was not like an A+ yet. And honestly, I don't even think I'm at an A+ now after like 4 years of working hard on it. I still have a lot of room to grow. But what I've noticed just going from like a C- to like a B+ changed everything for me. Right? It changed my relationships with my friends, changed my relationship with my family, my contractors. Like we get along so well now because now I've created the type of environment they love to be in. Right. And even when you hear me joking on this podcast, Mike, the old Mike Green, before I started studying leadership and trying to transform into a better person, like I didn't laugh about a lot of stuff. I was just way too serious. I took things way too hard. And, I was struggling with perfection, wanting to be, a perfectionist. Like so many of us want things to go right, want to be in control. Leadership helped me realize that it's not about me, right? It's about me getting past myself and getting more into other people's shoes, right? It's about understanding what my contractor wants, which I found, by the way, is like just consistent income and respect. And I don't feel like I was always giving them either because I wasn't helping them create a business where they could consistently make income, working for the prices I gave. And I wasn't always giving them respect because the way my brain worked, I'd walk into the house and, first thing I'd see is all the things that were wrong. It's easy to see all the things that were wrong. Now, one of my leadership techniques I use is when I walk into a house is, I don't talk about what's wrong. I spend most of the time in that house talking about everything they've done well. And what I found, and this is crazy counterintuitive, as I'm talking about everything that's went well, they often are like, yeah, all this went well, but like these couple things I really need to take care of. And I was like, well, those were the exact things the old Mike would have came in and just started off with. But because they told them to me, they were totally owning them. But if I'd have came in, shooting my big fat mouth off and being bossy, they would have been insulted by me saying that, right? They would have felt like that was a lack of respect. Learning to be higher level leadership was me just to not always having to be in control and helping others become better. So it's been a big shift from everything I do being about me fathering my own wealth and my own self to now me helping others in a big way. As my journey in leadership, I started this coaching program and I started doing podcasts and giving back stuff for free with no expectation of anything in return. Actually, right now, our coaching business, it does cost money, but it's a nonprofit. I've not taken a check from it yet. And Delante takes a check, so he's a greedy pig and taking some money out of the nonprofit. Shame on you, dude.
Corporate war pig.
You are, man. Let's just put it out there that Delante makes money and Mike Green does not. It's very unfair. It's very unfair, man. But honestly, you're more entertaining to me, so you deserve it. So anyhow, the reason I tell you that is not to say anything other than, like, as I got into house flipping, this was about a bigger purpose. It was about working on leadership, which is giving back to others and really considering. Anytime we think about, what is it you need to do to be a great leader so you can have, like, there's 3 steps to it, right? There's 3 steps to you being the type of leader that you want to be. And, for you understanding that and getting awesome contractors to work with you. You got to start with transforming yourself, because a coach of mine told me that we only attract people as good as who we are. So if we've got crappy people in our life, we need to look in the mirror, because it means that we're probably that crappy person. So if you're like, all my friends suck, well, there's a really decent chance you suck too. So mean to say that, but you know what? I own it. I used to suck. And honestly, I've worked on not sucking as much and being an awesome person, giving back. And it's felt great doing it, right? It's a very different thing.
You know what's funny about that? It's like, not even as a joke, sometimes, well, most times really, when we think that we're doing well or we're excelling at being a certain type of person, most times when we take objective, unbiased look at things, we're not the best version of ourselves that we can be. There's always opportunities for us to improve. And then, sometimes we're nowhere near as good as we think we are at something. Or like you said, the relationships that we have with people are most of the times nowhere near as good as we think they are.
Well, that's funny. When me and Delante went to a place called Choice Center, and we did a leadership training. It took us roughly 5 months, right? It was very, very intense, very life-changing. Honestly, me and him were closer friends for it. And it was, my mom went there, girlfriend Tanya, everyone went there. A lot of people went, right? And they changed their lives, and it was really awesome. But my money instantly went up when I started getting better leadership and better emotional intelligence. I also found that, like, all my contractors who sucked, well, guess what? When New Mike came out, like, New Mike wouldn't deal with that anymore. New Mike was being a little bit letting bad people around him, right? You're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, so don't spend any time with bad contractors, right? And when you level yourself up, you have no choice but to level up the people around you. Sometimes they come with you, sometimes they don't. Not our choice, by the way.
Let's get into things. What is the first step to becoming this awesome kick bleep leader that Rockstar Contractors want to work with?
So step number 1, I got to remember now. Give me 1 second. I know you put me on the spot. So we know there's so much cool stuff I just talked to you about leadership. So you got to be a better person. But one of the big things that I realized that helps you be a really good leader is you got to know your numbers. Okay. You got to know what expectations are, because one of the things I would say I didn't do well back in the day is, like I said, I would sometimes be hard on people because I felt like they weren't doing well. But really, I hadn't set in a very clear standard of, like, what production would be considered well. I would just walk through and say, this feels like it needs to be done sooner. But I had no measurement, no standardized pricing, no standardized labor hours. None of those things were put in place, which left me just using a gut feel whether it feels like something's going well or not. And when you think about that, that leaves a lot of room for me to be a poor leader and come in and say, man, this feels like it's going slow, because I'm very impatient. So I think everything's going slow. If the rehab isn't done in like 9.5 minutes, I'm like, this thing is going slow. Come in day 1 and be like, we're not done. What's that? That's the old me. And like, people would be like, Mike, what's wrong with you? Because I am very impatient. So one of the things I had to learn was the numbers. Like, how long should it take to do each job? How much money should we make? How long should something sit on the market? And when I got really clear about the numbers and the standards that everyone should be meeting, I was able to instill those numbers and that system in place with my contractors, and now get everyone on the same page, but most importantly, myself. Because as part of being a good leader is we have to create buy-in from everyone, right? And when you want to be a great leader people want to work for, you have to have a clear system that they can follow and that they can count on. And when they have that clear system, they want to stay working for you. When there's a lot of unknown in your systems because you're figuring it out and you haven't taken time, well, that's going to cause you and your contractor to have a lot of back and forths that might make the contractor not like working for you. Often you might lose a really good person. Right? It just might happen. Or you might never attract the best people because they don't sense that you have a great system in place. So your system is all about knowing the numbers and knowing how long something should take, what it should cost. And when you get that, that's going to be step number 1 to you becoming a better leader. But that's going to require a little bit of work. Like anything, you're not going to become a great leader overnight. But if you want to be a great leader of construction, you need to understand construction. Right? It's a pretty cool, easy concept, correct?
So that was step number 1 pretty succinctly. How about number 2? What we got?
Step 2 is really all about having abundance. Abundance with contractors is that you have more than one awesome contractor. Most people don't even have a awesome contractor. Their standards are so low that they're happy to get anyone to do work for the price they're willing, that they want to pay. So if you want to pay $2,000 to paint a house, that's what we pay to paint like a standard house, with a couple custom colors. That's labor. We buy materials. materials. If you want to pay that much to paint a house, most contractors are going to tell you that's too low. However, there's going to be a handful of individuals who are very fast and efficient and know how to make profit because they've worked with house flippers. They've worked with people who don't pay, retail customer prices. And those people, that's a good contractor. Someone who can come in and do a house in 2.5 days with 2 to 3 people, paint the whole thing, have it all cut in, looking beautiful, and then look at you and say, Delante, you got another house for me? I'm ready to go. Right? No complaints, no whining. House looks great. You're like, yep, I got another one for you. Or let me refer you to someone else. That's an awesome contractor. A mistake that a lot of people make is they don't really dig hard enough to find that awesome 5-star contractor. But when they do, they put all of their eggs in that one basket. The next level of this is having the abundance of having that person plus 2 people like him waiting to do more. Now, all of a sudden, if contractor 1 goes from being like, thank you for the work and I love working for you to hey, dude, I don't want to keep doing this for $2K, we always have to have a plan B, right? If that contractor senses we don't have a plan B and we're not very abundant, we're coming from scarcity, well, what happens a lot is they'll raise their prices and you go ahead and pay it. And then if every contractor raises their prices across the board on your whole entire flips, now your flips that were costing you 65 could cost you 75. And now you've lost a competitive edge because guess what? Delante and I are paying 65, meaning we can offer more. If you're paying 75, means you're going to lose a lot of offers when you come against us, when you come against the general community, not just us, right? But just there's a lot of other people out there that are keeping their costs down. So you need to be able to compete. So we want to make sure we have abundance, and that abundance will keep people knowing that they got to keep their prices sharp, and they make more money by learning how to do the work faster. 3.5, 4 years ago, my painters would take 3.5 days to paint a house. Now they do it in 2.5 days because they've gotten faster. I pay them the same money I did 2.5 years ago, but guess what? They now make more money because they do it faster and overall labor's down. So now they can make more money. It's that simple, right? That's abundance with all this, right? Having abundance and just completely abundance mindset. When I teach right now and I share all this stuff with you, it's an abundance mindset. I don't worry that people are going to steal my systems. I hope that people will use them and give me feedback and help improve them with me, right? As a group, we can actually take this awesome stuff and do stuff that's never been done before in house flipping. And within our mastermind, we're accomplishing things that I've never seen possible before. And I give complete credit to, Delante's hard work and everyone else in the mastermind and, my ability to do this and give back at a high level to create this dynamic where amazing stuff is happening, right? But again, that's leadership, and that's the stuff this transformation we all have to make.
And before we move on to the next step, I really want to kind of chime in on this a little bit too, because all of the great leaders that you see, in house flipping, whatever business or whatever field, all have this key mindset to them, right? They're all very abundant in what they do. Not the whole reason, but one of the reasons why we don't lose sleep at night with the mastermind is because there's more than enough houses out there for everybody. And that's the same kind of mentality that you have to have when you're dealing with your contractors. There are more contractors out there than your mind can possibly imagine.
If you know where to look, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you know how to create the funnel, but that's in another episode, another podcast. Just being able to operate out of a mindset of abundance instead of out of scarcity is going to just transform how you approach situations and how you step up to make those bold decisions as a leader to say, well, this isn't working out. Got to find a guy who can make this work. Or if this is working out, what can we do to improve this relationship?
Yeah. Well, we're in scarcity, right? We stay with things too long. When I've been in scarcity with my personal relationships, like someone I was dating, I stay with them way longer than I should have because I just didn't want to have to go back out and try to find another girlfriend. So I was just like, you know what? I'll work it out or I'll stay along, even though knowing in my heart long-term this had no chance. Well, I've done this with contractors too, where I've let them stay on for way too long, knowing that the writing was on the wall, but I just didn't want to, have to go out and do it again. I was coming from scarcity. And when you're abundant, you make good choices. And that's what I love. It's so empowering to make good choices, but it is nearly impossible to make amazing choices when you're coming from scarcity. So you got to get really abundant with your contractors, get really abundant with the way you live your life, right? We can't have to have it. I can't be like, I really need this flip. If I don't get this one, we won't eat this week. It's going to be a tough way to run your flip business, right? We want to create an environment where you can survive, you can make money, you're not everything's on the line. If there's a mistake made, it's not going to be the end of the world for you. You learn from it, you improve, and you constantly get better, and you get to share in all the great rewards of being a house flipper.
So what we got for step number 3, Mike?
Oh, step number 3. Okay, because I thought that I wasn't counting, but there is one more. And I think it's probably one of the best ones if you're trying to find great contractors. One of the big shifts I made is I used to hire GCs. You've heard us talk about this in other episodes, but I would hire GCs and, they would always tell me like, well, that's how long stuff takes. And so for a while, I always, because I'm impatient, I always thought like, okay, are they telling me the truth? Like, does it really take that long? So there was a point where I realized I had to learn construction. I had to go help some people install cabinets. I had to do some framing, and I had to start really finding out, does this stuff take that long? Well, you're probably going to be surprised to hear this, but none of my contractors were telling me the truth. And every single thing I did on my own with someone mysteriously took half the time they told me it took. And I'm not a genius contractor. I'm not like a natural carpenter. I'm not like Jesus. He was a carpenter, right? Did you know that, Delante?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not Jesus. I got Jesus working for me. His name's Jesus. But anyhow, I'm not like some miracle carpenter. I'm a quick thinker, and I don't, I'm efficient and I'm a little impatient. So I don't want to be slow about things, but I also don't have years of carpentry experience. And what I found when I went out and did it is that a lot of times they were just making it more than it was. They were doing things that weren't necessary. And so I've realized I have to learn construction and get things done quickly. What I learned, and this is going to be your big step 3, is you have to learn standardized labor hours. How long does it take to install a standard set of cabinets? How long does it take to install a window? How long does it to install like an interior door versus exterior door? How long does it take to tile a bathroom, right? All these things are really important that you have a basic understanding of that, so that when you're working someone and they're like, yeah, Delante, I want to make $250 a day, right? And that's how much I need to clear, to make money and feed my family. And you're like, well, oh, great. How many days should this take? And they're like, well, I'm tiling a bathroom, and that should take me 5 days by myself. One bathroom. Well, that's going to be $1,250 if it's 5 days, correct? I think I got that math right. Okay. Well, that's a little bit much for a bathroom. Our standardized labor time for one man doing a bathroom is 2 to 3 days max, probably like 2 days, to be honest, if it's not too big of a bathroom. So $500 in labor is going to be more what we would pay, maybe $500-$600, somewhere in that ballpark. And they do 3 bathrooms, and maybe that takes one guy like a week to do. But ultimately now, that they're going to charge you about $1,200 to $1,500 in labor. We know that because if we know the standardized labor hours, we also can do a good schedule, right? It's kind of hard to schedule people when they think it's 3 days, but it takes them 9 days. It's also hard for contractors to make money. And one of the hardest leadership moves that comes, and it's based off of the step 3, is firing people. Like for me, it's been one of my biggest struggles. My coach says that I have misplaced loyalty. I'm loyal to people who don't deserve loyalty, who don't show up on time, who lie, don't keep their word. And, I don't like to fire them. But honestly, the years when I was doing that, it was all because I came from scarcity. Since I've gotten into abundance, I'm super gentle. I'm super nice about firing people because I never take it very emotionally, but I do fire them when they don't do what they're supposed to do. And I give them many warnings, 2 or 3 warnings usually before I fire them. But we never get into where somebody's taken 3 weeks to do something. It should have been 3 days. They're going to make it about 5 or 6 days tops. And then, we're going to politely let them go, open up their schedule for new opportunities. Basically, it's the nice way we like to say firing people. We do that because, look, we don't have a choice. Leadership is about staying committed to the people who matter most. So if I allow my contractor to take 2 weeks to do a job, like, am I cheating Delante, who works with me, right? He needs to get paid. My mom needs to get paid. My uncle works with me. I have all these other contractors that rely on me making money so I can get new houses for them. If my business isn't doing well because I let a couple bad seeds, aren't I really being like disloyal to everyone who truly matters, to people who really work hard for me every day? Like, really. And that was a leadership thing I had to understand. So as I was being super nice and letting these other people not do what they say, it was fairly disrespectful to the people who did do what they said. It did keep their promises, worked super hard, right? And A players don't like to work in environments where you have a lot of D players because they get real upset that you spend all your time with the headaches and all the problem childs, and you're not spending any time with them when they're the ones that do all the great work and they deserve the time. Right? It becomes like I'm jealous of my younger brother who gets all the attention because he's bad in school, but it doesn't deserve it.
And another funny thing that, well, maybe not funny, but another thing that really starts to happen is that as you start to implement these steps and really start to become this powerful leader that can lead these rockstar contractors, the effect is going to rub off, right? Let's say your B contractors are going to start to become more like the A contractors, the C contractors, if you have any, who want to stay on with your system once you establish these standards and you establish yourself as a powerful leader, are going to start to become your B contractors. And then everything's just going to grow. So yes, this is about you becoming a better leader, but this is about you empowering everyone around you to become better leaders as well. Because this thing is a ripple effect, right? Good leadership can be sensed subconsciously, and good leadership attracts good energy. And the energy that it doesn't want to work with will find its place elsewhere.
That's
So you're
true.
not just empowering yourself, you're empowering your entire company or your entire business.
Yeah, that's such a great point, man. I mean, that's a pretty, like, remember what Delante said there. Like, leadership is about empowering others, not empowering yourself. So when we talk about you being a good leader, it's very you focused. But the reality is, you're a good leader by giving the power away and empowering others to be awesome. Because isn't it so much more amazing when your contractor can lead? Like, my contractor right now, if I'm not around, like, he will take care of business, because I've let him lead and I've empowered him, and he does an amazing job, and he enjoys it because he's a true leader too. And he wants to lead. So he knows if I'm not around or my project manager can't get a hold of him, he'll just go take care of business. Like, he goes to Home Depot and we don't answer the phone. He just buys it and says, hey, reimburse me. There ain't a whole bunch of like, well, I couldn't work today because no one answered the phone. Like, that's what C contractors and D contractors do. A contractors, top level, they don't let anything stand in their way. They're very resourceful. They love leading. They love like figuring things out. They'd let nothing stand in their way. And I'll tell you, that's how I am as a person. So I very much enjoy working with people like that. And I will say this too, as I work with contractors who are A contractors, like, you know, I call them sharks that just get stuff done, make life easy. I have a lot of fun working with them. Like, it's really been a big shift that I never expected, where I had to work really hard and I felt like I was always pulling people and I was pushing them to do what they were supposed to do. I was micromanaging them because I had no choice. Otherwise they'd burn the house down or do everything crooked. It's just the way it was, but I had the wrong people. And so I always blame them, like contractors are awful. But the reality was I was a very low level person. And when I say that, I was, you know, average or low level. Most of us are fairly low level, right? Because when you get in business, you got to level up in order to, like, you know, manage a bunch of people. We're not taught that at jobs, right? We're not taught that in our day-to-day life. So, you know, I was just a person who had never really experienced that higher level that you have to play at when you're in business for yourself. And once I did, you know, I started seeing some major changes when I made that shift to like being a better leader and making my people better leaders. I started seeing that it was fun to work with them. Like, oh, we got a problem. It was fun to discuss that problem with them and figure out a solution, right? In a very nice, positive way. Before, it used to not be so fun. It used to be confrontational. Didn't work out. I would say the outcome wasn't as positive as it should be because we were both coming from a weird place, right? It was like me not being that high level and the people with me weren't that high level. So the two of us weren't creating anything amazing. Right. So starts with us, and Delante made a great point that it starts with us and people will level up with us or they'll level out. That's generally how it works. They either come with us or they decide not to take the ride, and then we make room for someone else who wants to get on the bus and ride with us.
Either way, it all works out.
Exactly. Right. On to what we call house flipping nirvana. Everyone makes profit. Deals are you don't even have to work hard for them. People just call and say, I got a great deal. Would you like it? It's going to make like $50K. It's going to be super easy and it's going to sell with multiple offers. And I feel sometimes like we're living in a house flipping nirvana because every aspect of what we're doing right now, it just far exceeds anything I thought was possible. Pretty cool to be in the house flipping nirvana, but it does require some leadership and so, you know, those 3 steps we just talked about, and it requires you transforming as a person, right? Not saying you're bad right now. Like, don't take this personally. Don't, you know, like Mike said, I suck. Like, you don't suck. You just, there's more for you. Right? There's more for us to become. And I don't know anyone who doesn't have that feeling in their gut that like I was meant to do something bigger. Right. For me personally, when I was laying hardwood floors, I had no complaints. I made 90 or 100K a year as a high school dropout. You know, I was able to have like a nice car and a place to live, but I knew in my gut there was more for me. Right. I was meant to do something bigger. Couldn't get rid of that feeling. It only got worse over time. Right. And it forced me after 9-10 years of being a flooring guy to get into house flipping. Right. And as soon as I got into this, then I was like, this is what I was meant for. This was the true thing that I was put on this earth to do. Once I started doing it well, the couple of years I was doing it poorly, I was like, I'm not so sure. I still loved it. I loved everything about it. I just hated the results I got. You know, I enjoyed the process. I just hated that I wasn't getting the results that I knew were possible. Once I started getting them though, then things got pretty amazing.
So just to recap all these 3 steps, I know we talked about a lot, but just to kind of go over everything, how would you summarize all of this in one, you know, maybe 2 sentences for a new investor who's looking to kind of level up with their contractors? You know, they know their relationships aren't going so well. What would you say?
I would say the advice I'm about to give is relevant to someone who's never flipped a house or someone who's flipped 200 houses. If your contractors aren't making your life easy, doing the work affordably, getting done quickly, like if any level they're not living up to what you know should be the expectation, then know that your process needs work, right? No matter if you've done 400 houses. I made my big shift in my business. I was 600 houses into the game, right? And I was not doing it perfect at 600 houses. And my ability to step back and be humble and say, you know what, I've done a lot of houses, but I'm not perfect. And it's time to like scale up and do better and like become a better person. My willingness to do that is the reason why I am where I am today. It's the reason that I know I'll be house flipping for however long I possibly can. And it's the reason that this business has become really enjoyable, right? I'm very recession proof. I don't have to worry about economies because I'm in the 1% right now. I'm doing things that very few other people are doing, but it required me making a big move, right? Making the big move of me not knowing it all, which isn't always an easy one for me, right? We got to get humble. We got to step back and say, there's a lot of room to grow. 11 years in, I'm growing like crazy. So my big piece of advice to everyone at every level is be willing to take what you're currently doing and know that it can be improved. And your willingness to improve it will be your willingness to grow and become the person you were meant to be. We got too many Robins on today, didn't we?
Yeah, man, we got real powerful on this one.
Yes, got it. Are you fully who you need to be, Delante?
I'm on the way. I know. I don't even, that's the funny thing. Ever since doing like choice and like studying like leadership, this stuff is like a lifelong. I couldn't even comprehend how long of a journey this is because there really is no end to it. You can consistently improve like for the rest of your life and then some, even after you know, whatever you die or whatever. There's still some more improvement you could probably do. I mean, you can't because you're dead, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, you could actually, and I know you've probably never thought of this because you're pretty young, but your children, right? I mean, you learn all your lessons in life and then you share them with your children and they continue the journey of growth. And we hope that each generation is smarter and better. And, you know, I feel like I'm smarter than my grandfather who raised me and he raised me to do so, right? To become a better version of him. And my father, same thing, right? We improve on our spouses. We bring something new to the table, right? I mean, that would probably be the legacy. I know people talk about leaving money and hoping their kids don't have to work hard. I think that's crazy because like a lot of why we're successful is because of the hard stuff I've been through, right? We need adversity to become strong. I never planned on making money to leave it to kids, but you know, certainly, you know, they're going to have the opportunity to learn how to make money. There's a lot of deep, amazing stuff that happens when you have control and you have the ability to make money. You can control your future. You can do the things you want. That's the freedom that everyone is looking for, me included, by the way, right? I'm sure you too also. We're close. We've almost gotten there. Right? I mean, we're not sitting on a beach doing nothing, but it's not really our choice to do nothing.
Yeah, I feel like even if we made it to the beach, we would probably still be doing something at the beach. Like
exactly. We would be bored in a week. We'd be like, I mean, we've been to the beach. We stayed in Costa Rica for 2 weeks and like we worked an hour or two a day and then we're like, okay, cool. Let's go to the beach. We needed something to do. We would have been bored.
Yeah.
Right. Anyhow, when you love it, it's not like working. It is a very true statement. When you love what you do, you're not working a day in your life. So you got to find what you love. And if house flipping is something you love, you know, feel free to reach out to me for some coaching because I help people learn how to do this at a really high level. And I share a lot of the stuff that I've been through, a lot of the systems that are working for me. I am currently in the house flipping business. I do make all my money as a house flipper, not as a coach, but I love coaching people because it just really gives me an opportunity to share with you some amazing stuff that changes your business. To reach out to me if you want to connect, you can reach me at my email, which is the mike@theflipfactor.net, or you can come to our website, which is theflipfactor.net, right? They're kind of similar to each other. I'm not sure why, but you can find us there. And we'll talk real quick and see if it's a good fit. At the website too, we got a lot of free training, a lot more podcasts you can listen to. And I hope that you really have enjoyed everything we've given you today and shared with you because our mission when we do this show is to give back, to give you knowledge, to have some higher level conversations and, you know, leave you with tangible stuff that you can put into your business or is going to help give you more confidence to do your first flip. If you have those things, then I feel like you're on your way, right? You have such an advantage over people who are just saying, here's the basics of flipping, and that's all I need to know. Right? There's so much more you need to know if you want to be awesome. So if you're looking to be an awesome house flipper, feel free to reach out for some coaching or just keep listening to the podcast. And, you know, cool people like Delante will be on. Delante, thank you so much for being on the show today. Yeah, cool questions. Thank you for that feedback. Listeners, I appreciate you guys listening, Flip Factor family out there. We really appreciate you listening. I appreciate all the 5-star reviews you've given us on iTunes. It means a lot to us. It helps us keep the show going, you know, sharing amazing content. So thank you for that. And, you know, I hope to hear from you soon, right? And we get back on it. So again, you know who I am. I'm Michael Green, and my work's done, and your work's just begun. Get out there and flip some houses. Do great. I'm really excited for everyone. So just keep flipping some houses, making some money, and doing all the cool stuff. Have a great day, everyone, and look forward to hearing from you on the next podcast.